Imagine you're setting out on a journey, not just any journey, but one that leads to the very core of who you are, to a place of peace and purpose. This journey, your spiritual journey, calls you to something greater, a kind of happiness that isn't just a fleeting high. Now, picture a roadblock along this path, an alluring trap disguised as a shortcut to joy. This isn't an obvious danger, it's a hidden trap, the endless pursuit of pleasure. But, while the promise of pleasure appears golden, it might just be luring you away from something far deeper, your true spiritual growth. Pleasure in itself isn't the villain. It's a natural part of life, something we all experience, and that can, in balanced doses, bring fulfillment. But when we let pleasure-seeking become our priority, we risk turning away from the inner peace and long-term happiness that lie at the core of our spiritual growth. Why? Because pleasure is easy, addictive even. Yet true happiness, the kind that fills your spirit, is a product of resilience, mindfulness, and often, it's a little elusive. The challenge here is to see pleasure for what it is, temporary and fleeting. It's sweet, but, like a dessert, it's not meant to be the main course of life. Our brains are wired for pleasure. It's a survival instinct as old as humanity itself. Just think about it. We find pleasure in countless things: eating a delicious meal, laughing with friends, scrolling through social media, or even that victorious feeling after buying something new. These all give us little bursts of happiness, yes, but it's often a hollow happiness. Our minds and bodies seek satisfaction because it's natural to want comfort. Yet, when this chase for satisfaction becomes all-consuming, the pleasure transforms from a delight to a distraction. Suddenly, the sweet satisfaction from one thing fades, and we're left craving the next. Imagine reaching for a chocolate bar each time you feel stressed. Does it soothe you? Absolutely. But does it bring true happiness or an enduring sense of inner peace? Hardly. That bar of chocolate may be delightful for a moment, but it doesn't address what's truly unsettling you. The more we rely on these small pleasures to lift us, the further we drift from facing the core of our emotions. This is a subtle yet powerful way that pleasure-seeking distracts us from truly healing and progressing spiritually. The trickiest thing about pleasure is how tempting it is, how easily it lures us. After all, life is tough. We crave anything that can make it lighter, brighter. Pleasure promises us just that. It offers us quick satisfaction, that boost that makes the rest of life feel more bearable. And so, we find ourselves caught in the pleasure trap, seeking the next hit, the next thing to numb the discomfort or monotony. But here's where things take a turn. While pleasure temporarily numbs, it's a shallow bomb. It cannot give us lasting happiness or true spiritual fulfillment. This is why the pursuit of pleasure can feel like filling an empty vessel that never quite overflows. It's like drinking salty water when you're thirsty, it only makes you want more. Yet spiritual growth and inner peace don't come from more things or even more feelings. They come from something much quieter, from seeking purpose, finding meaning in the everyday, and taking those moments to connect inwardly rather than outwardly. Now, does this mean you have to abandon all enjoyment? Not at all. Living without pleasure isn't the goal. Instead, the key lies in balance. It's about recognizing that pleasure is fleeting and knowing how to savor it without letting it rule your life. Think about this as a mindful approach, where you're aware of what truly makes you feel fulfilled and whole. A life that's rich with mindfulness and spiritual practices doesn't reject pleasure. It simply doesn't let pleasure take the wheel. Consider someone who decides to enjoy social media for connection, but sets limits to avoid hours of aimless scrolling. They enjoy the connection, but they don't lose themselves in it. Or think about the person who loves food but learns to eat for nourishment rather than pure indulgence. They're finding pleasure, but they're also embracing self-control and discipline. This balance doesn't come naturally. It's something we cultivate, step by step, much like planting a garden. It's about choosing growth, nurturing it, and watching it flourish. Mindfulness, in this way, is our ally. Through mindfulness, we start to recognize the difference between pleasure and peace, between a passing high and real inner peace. With mindfulness, we allow ourselves to experience pleasure while keeping our true priorities, like personal growth and spiritual fulfillment, at the center. True happiness is different from the rush that pleasure provides. Think about it. When was the last time you felt deeply content, not because of something external but because of an inner sense of rightness? This kind of happiness doesn't come from the stuff around us, the things we achieve, or the little pleasures we indulge in. It comes from something deeper, something inside. When you start cultivating happiness that stems from purpose, self-awareness, and personal growth, you're stepping into a kind of joy that's unshakable, a kind of joy that withstands the ups and downs of life. Take, for instance, someone who finds happiness in helping others. They volunteer, they give, they connect with people, and it fills them in a way that material pleasure simply can't. Or consider the person who meditates, who finds their peace in stillness and silence rather than noise and stimulation. This is the essence of spiritual awakening, realizing that the peace you seek isn't out there, it's within. And to access it, sometimes we need to let go of the constant need for something more, something exciting, something gratifying. So, how do we truly step out of the pleasure cycle? How do we reclaim our path toward spiritual growth and inner fulfillment? The answer lies in small, consistent actions. Start with one mindful choice each day, one moment where you choose inner peace over momentary pleasure. Perhaps it's waking up a little earlier to meditate instead of scrolling through your phone. Maybe it's taking time to breathe deeply and check in with yourself when you feel an urge to indulge in something you know won't serve your growth. In practice, this looks like nurturing self-discipline. This discipline doesn't have to feel like deprivation. It's about liberation. By choosing moments of peace over fleeting pleasure, you're actually freeing yourself to experience life more fully. You're stepping into a life that's deeply enriching, where each choice aligns with your purpose and brings you closer to your true self. If you've followed along this far, it means there's a part of you searching for something beyond what the everyday world promises. Deep down, you know that true happiness isn't hidden in the next purchase or the next fleeting thrill, but in something greater, something that transcends the busyness and noise of daily life. This journey, your journey, is about discovering a path that few dare to take, one that calls you to look inward instead of outward, to find your strength not in momentary pleasures but in a grounded sense of purpose and fulfillment. Choosing inner peace over immediate pleasure isn't always an easy path, and maybe that's why so few people ever truly find it. But this choice, this commitment to growth, is like planting a tree within yourself. At first, it's just a seed, a small thought, a quiet decision. But over time, with each mindful choice, each moment of self-reflection, and each act of discipline, that seed grows. It sends roots down into your soul, grounding you in ways that are beyond what words can fully express. This is the foundation of true happiness, a happiness that's unshakable, resilient, and completely yours. Imagine a life where you're no longer running from one fleeting pleasure to the next, a life where you're not constantly seeking validation from others or chasing the thrill of the next big thing. Instead, picture yourself living from a place of wholeness, from a sense of inner peace that guides your every action, every thought. This is the reward that lies beyond the superficial lure of pleasure, beyond the distraction of what's easy. When you step into a life rooted in purpose and self-awareness, you find that what you once craved from the outside world can now be found within. And here's a thought to carry with you. Peace, true inner peace, isn't something that happens overnight. It's a journey, your spiritual journey, a process that involves learning to sit with yourself, to face your desires and choose not to be ruled by them. It's about breaking the cycle, stepping out of the pleasure trap, and embracing the stillness that so many fear. The rewards of this choice are profound. You become someone who isn't swayed by every whim, someone who can weather life's storms with grace because you're grounded in something greater, something eternal. If you're ready to embrace this path, remember that each step, each small act of choosing peace over pleasure, is building a foundation for a life of meaning. Start with small, intentional choices. Maybe it's choosing to meditate in the morning instead of scrolling through social media. Perhaps it's spending time in nature, letting the quiet of the world around you remind you of the quiet within. Each act of mindfulness brings you closer to a spiritual awakening, closer to the discovery of who you truly are beneath the layers of desire and distraction. Consider how different your life could look in a year, 5 years, 10 years, if you commit to this journey. How much lighter, freer, more at peace would you feel if you began to live a life focused on what truly matters? This is the invitation before you now. It's an invitation to reclaim your time, your energy, your attention. It's a call to step out of the endless chase for pleasure and to step into a life of inner strength, clarity, and true happiness. Remember, you're not alone on this path. Many before you have walked it, and many will continue to. The beauty of this journey is that every step you take toward inner peace radiates outward. You become a source of peace and strength for others. When you live from a place of purpose, others are drawn to that light. They sense the grounded calm within you, and, in their own way, it inspires them to begin their journey as well. So, take this moment, this choice, and let it be the beginning of something transformative. Let it be the start of a journey that leads not to temporary highs but to a lasting, profound sense of fulfillment. You don't have to have it all figured out. No one does. What matters is the willingness to begin, to choose again and again, a path that's aligned with who you truly are. If you're ready to step away from the hollow highs and embrace the quiet peace within, take that step today. Choose inner peace. Choose purpose. And let that choice be the guide on your incredible journey. Thank you for watching, for sharing in this space, and for beginning your journey toward a life that resonates with true joy and spiritual fulfillment. Let's walk this path together.